Welcome back. My name is Minabate, and this is Shifted Reality Season 2, Episode 23 on the RealSMP server. Last week, we got all the redstone built to create this lovely design of a moving bridge. Now we need to decorate it to make it all look good and, not physics-defying floating. So let's get into it. Alright, first things first, let's remove the dirt that we were using as a guide in placing and building all the redstone machines. So I'm deciding to start with the center part because that is what needs to be done in order to make the rest of it feel like it fits together. And we gotta remember that we want to keep this as wide as possible at the water level, so we're going to put in a bit of an arch, and we have quite a bit of space to work with here, so let's keep that in mind. Yeah, right about this point, I really wish the happy gas was already a thing, because I keep adding to this, and then I'm flying away trying to get a good view as to what it looks like from different angles. And it's just like the happy gas would make it so much easier to plan this out. And I'm just trying to figure out what ultimately is gonna look good and what doesn't work, and kind of go from there. So not having a good solid platform to put down like scaffolding is proving to be a little bit of a challenge, being that we're working over water, but we're getting there. Nailed it. Yep. Oh yeah, definitely like it better with the stairs underneath. And as you can see here, we're starting to come together. We have the glazed gray terracotta just so that the slime blocks don't stick to the facade, and it matches pretty well with the deep slate bricks, I believe. And we put in arches instead of that central pillar just to give it a little bit more of a texturalized design, just again utilizing shape and depth more than varying blocks. I think that looks pretty nice, personally. And then on the other side, we kind of mimic that pattern with the deep slate bricks and the glazed terracotta. And down below, we kind of gotta fit around where the redstone is. I mean, sometimes it can be a little difficult to create kind of this amorphous blob of redstone and then figure out how we fit in around it to make it look good and decent. But again, we went with a bit of a arch design here, and we're bringing it down, and we'll work up the sides here a little bit. This is going to be the easier side. You can see the arch is a bit better here. The harder side is going to be on this side because we got to work around that and decide how we're going to get that all tied together ultimately. And once we have that, we'll have the template that we will be using for our far side, because as you can see, we have not touched the far side at all yet. But I like how this is coming together. This is just my process, a little bit of time, take away, add back, watch what's coming out, and allow my vision to change and evolve as needed for the overall growth. And the whole reason we are starting down at the bottom is because working above the water is going to be the hardest part of this all. Once we have a solid foundation built out, deciding how we're going to incorporate the upper levels and the towers is going to just become a lot easier. There we go. I like how this is ultimately looking. We have that little slight arch that creates the image of a support, the darker deep slate next to the lighter stone, creating a little bit of a contrast, tying the two ends together with that inserted backdrop of brick, down here and up there on the side. And for that, I'm giving a little bit of that illusion of mini arches just by using the wall blocks and then the trapdoors next to them to give them that little bit of an indent as they go up into the upside down stairs, which again gives a secondary aspect of kind of creating an illusion that the whole thing is arched. We could, well, let's give that a try. We could give the arch a little bit more of a pointed stance by shifting these around to be facing each other. So let's give that a try and see if it looks any better. You know, I think I do like the slightly higher arch a little bit better, and so we're going to go ahead and use that on both sides. But you see how we get the contrast using the depth and the slight different textures, but we don't have that random, I guess what some people will call block vomit of just throwing everything on there to create a illusion of it being interesting to look at. You can achieve things with just some slight adjustments. So in order to cover up the redstone, I needed to find a shape that would fit it all, and this wide half circle seems to fit it pretty well. So I'm going to make this kind of like a observation platform, and I double checked to make sure it would fit over on the far side as well, since the redstone's slightly different between the two sides. And that's all looking well and good. And I'm kind of looking at it, comparing it to my center tower, and I gotta figure out a design to bring it down. And I think just for stability purposes, we're just going to bring it all the way straight down. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the interior, if anything, however. Alright, now on this side, we had a high enough height that ultimately it was very clear we needed to fall back on the framing method. And, well, let's just say it made us occur that we kind of had this border of the plain stone. And when you carried that border of plain stone around to its natural state on the other side, it didn't line up with where we originally had all of this. So we had to actually take the black deep slate brick and tile down a level in order to make it all line up. So sometimes you do need to destroy to rebuild, but ultimately I think it's working out pretty good. Now, because I had a changing environment for where I needed to work on, just to make it a little bit simpler myself, I just brought it all to one even level and mashed it up to be a kind of a consistent pattern at the base. I really wish we had mossy deep slate bricks, because that would look really nice to mix some moss in there for the moisture aspect of it all. But all in all, maybe I'll come back and texturize that a bit more. It depends on how much of a design I can get up above and how much I can get it to look on the curves of the circular, half circle tower portion. And then I did the same thing on this side too, where just to even out, since I didn't want to make the whole tower merge with this arch that we have here, I decided that I was just going to put out an even thing, and that just leaves me this smallish area that needs to be texturized and filled in. But I think I can do it. I think I can make it look good. Now here I use the darker tile because, I kind of find the brick deep slate to be more of a deep gray, but the tile deep slate being the darker black color. And I wanted that contrasted band. I'm probably going to bring that around to the other sides as well. And then as I was doing this, I kept having to run around and going this way, since I don't have any of these towers like I've done before. I kept having to run all the way around unless I wanted to jump in the water and use my trident to fly up. So I decided this really needed a way up, so we kind of spent a lot of time just trying to figure out a way to just put a path up to the top here through the inside of this section, and it will just give a little bit of a purpose to the overall build. And none of this is wax, so as time goes on it will slowly degrade and oxidize, and that I think will give a good contrast to the brick walls that are inside. Keeping it simple, just using the contrast of the darker deep slate with the lighter deep slate bricks, and a little bit of the depth of field with the walls in the dark band. But then up here where I am doing the windows, since this is only 2 wide, I just did a little basic window with the 4 stairs basically. Just because it gives that singular pop of what looks to be a single brick block, even though it's in the middle of 2 blocks. That kind of breaks how your mind thinks of Minecraft working. I mean, you're used to everything going, and this basically gives you a vertical block look without needing to have it, and almost like the bricks are out of place with the overall build, and that just creates a more unique impression on your mind, and it stands out just a little bit more. But now I really got to work on this facing, and I got to tie in not only the center line but the side curves as well. So this is actually the part I've been kind of dreading here. Yeah, I just noticed the side where the dark line starts on this side and on this side are not at the same level. And that was totally by accident. I forgot I lowered that down as I was doing that. And so it kind of creates a little step up here. And I think that's going to guide me a little bit on how we do the other sides, the more rounded sides. I got some inspiration now. Let's go. So what I'm thinking is I can take this and I can wind it around and bring it up just a little bit each time and give a lifting pattern as we come back to this side. There we go. I like the accidental increase that we had on the far side because that just made this go a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, and that really helps tie together between the flat sides and the rounded sides. I used some brick walls to kind of even it out and give a little bit of a texture, whilst hiding some cobbled deep slate behind just to give it some more depth and adjustments in its overall presentation. And now we just got to figure out how we want to have people approaching this and heading up to the actual bridge part from the ground level, and how it's all going to tie in to the existing road structure. Now, I imagine we have this road here, which would probably run past the armorsmith's shop and coming this way. But how do I want to elevate people up into this height? Because I don't really like using stairs if it's more than 3 or 4, because otherwise it just doesn't really look good on your screen. So I'm thinking I might take a play from what I did last season and see how that goes. Even with this update, we're only about halfway through and still got to get it all over on that far side, and I'm running out of time this week. This episode is definitely going to go up late. But here we come into our entrance. We put in some crossbeam support, some arch support, just trying to get that feel of a real structure. Not always the easiest thing to do, but especially with the physics-defying nature of Minecraft. But I just wanted something a little bit more robust on here than just like a super long staircase. Then we have a path block that will take us up into here. And this might seem a little familiar. I did a similar concept on our castle gate last season. And then we still have our little upways. And so what I have next is to encompass this walkway area here, and then make a permanent design for our activation button. And then when you come across over to here, you can see we still need to get the top of the tower as well. So much to do, but we are getting there. And our bridge is off again. I think spiders or something were climbing around inside there and triggering it, but it should hopefully be more stable now. I don't know. We'll see. We just always reset this way. Oh no, it's stuck halfway. Oh, that's not good at all. That's bad. That's really really bad. How'd it get stuck? Now I'm definitely gonna be late on my next episode trying to solve this. The only thing I can think of is I logged off at some point while it was in motion. So when I logged back on, it was kind of frozen in place. Well, this is gonna take me a hot minute to fix. Okay, so what I am tentatively calling the main level of the bridge is almost complete. I want to swing around and take a look at the side on how we complete that, but I'm looking at the little spot where the tripwire goes through, and I'm realizing it's a little bit of a distraction on the overall design. So I need to see if I can't get back inside there and fill something in around it just to make it not so standout-ish. Well, let's take a look at how our side turned out. Ultimately I didn't like how much it was feeling closed in, so that's why I put in a little window on the side, and otherwise I mimicked the outside just to give a hint of what we've done below, whilst also mimicking what you'll see on the inside. And as we come up here to the inside hallway, you can see very basic. We do change it up a little bit with some blocks and some colors with like the brick here. But overall, I'm using that standard technique that I use where instead of shifting the texture with the type of block I use, I shift the texture with the depth of the block just to make it look a little bit more creative masonry that, I kind of like in the real world. I see things like this all the time, but, your location may differ. And this is the inside of that window. Yes, you can jump up into it, but overall I just wanted to give a little bit of a kind of a window seat look. And let's see, this is where our tape kind of combines. I don't think I should have to worry about blocking it in with a non-movable block, because if that was an issue, this block would have been an issue by now. And I think if I just put 2 dark blocks here and 2 right here, that should get rid of that distraction I was seeing earlier. Now, always my biggest fear with these is that putting that block in there is going to somehow change how this redstone circuit works in a way that I just simply don't understand. That hole is certainly a lot less distractible. Now, ultimately, I didn't do anything too fancy with the button to activate this. I tried a few different things, such as having a inset button or a lever or, various things. And I couldn't really get any fanciness on it other than just a button on the wall without increasing the size and overall capacity of the thing. And I just didn't want to mess with that and ruin the overall aesthetic that we're going for. And now we just have this final piece to top off this tower, and then once that's all done, we gotta copy everything over on the far side as well. What am I doing here? I said this was a design episode, not a redstone episode, and here I am adding another torch tower. Well, frankly, the idea I had was to... Well, here, let me illustrate it. The idea I had was, wouldn't it be cool if there was puffs of smoke or steam coming out while the machine was active, and the puffs of smoke were not there when the machine was inactive? Well, that's what I tried to do with the redstone tower, was to put in a on-off switch for a campfire smoke signal. However, due to render distance or some rule I don't understand, you couldn't actually see smoke rising from the top of that tower unless you were basically this close, which is super annoying and wasn't feeding in. However, it did create a unexpected side effect. So if I press this, you notice now we have 3 prongs turning our wheel, giving it much more of an animated feel to it. While before we were only getting a singular wrap around the wheel. Now, I am not ashamed to admit that I don't know very much about redstone. I constantly get things screwed up. I think I have good ideas, and then it turns out to be a Java exclusive, and I don't know where to look that up and keep that straight. But one thing that I do know, a happy accident is a happy accident, and if it looks better, by all means, we are keeping that happy accident. The bigger the canvas, the better the detail. And yes, I did use different blocks in order to get texture the more traditional way, whilst also adding the depth texture in order to accomplish everything else. And you don't necessarily want to repeat a pattern all the way around because you can get some more interesting angles and views if you can see 2 different sides of a structure and get completely different vibes from it. And then here in the inside, we shifted it up a little bit on our ceiling just by adding in the stairs of a different texture, just to give a little bit of a image of additional support structures being built into it. Again, obviously not required for Minecraft, but it makes it feel more alive and original and accurate. Now we just need to put in a few more details, and then we will be ready to continue on. Adding in some leaves along the base of a build like this can really give that sense of timing has passed. There's been a little bit of overgrowth since it was originally built, especially when you have things like here hanging off. And another way that you can actually enhance this a little further is if you mix in different types of leaves. It makes it look a little wilder, a little bit less planned and manicured garden, and just, random things growing in. And we put some vines in a couple different spots along here, different heights. Not a whole lot just yet, but we're just going to let that grow in on its own naturally and see where we end up with, and if there's anything we need to take away or add more of, well, time will tell. The green masonry pattern in the bottom chevron of the banner pattern doesn't quite blend with the pale oak bark, but it does blend pretty well with the tuft walls and such. So if you have any idea on how I could get it to blend better with the pale oak bark below that, let me know. I'm kind of curious if there's a better way to do that one. But now that I have all of this, I need to bring all of that to all of this. And I'm kind of out of supplies here, so this is taking me forever. I gotta go back to the mines to get more supplies. But since I have a pattern, I have a plan. In theory, it shouldn't take me as long to build. In theory. And let's get to it. Well, this is a little embarrassing. I've been at this for so long that the summer drop has come. Chase the skies. And as you can see, I am not a survivor in the nether. Go and try and get the new music disc and pretty much died to my first gas. Second chance, I am just going to book in there and grab my stuff real quick. I did not go into the nether with anything valuable. And you can see why. Like, even when I come in here, I have the fire resist potion on, quickly jump in, grab my stuff, and I'm already down a sword. And so I'm like, okay. Bad call on my part. Alright, no problem. But let's get this armor back on and try this one more time. Here comes yes. Nope. Got hit, but didn't die. Take too much damage because I did that fire resist potion on. Second shot is a success, and there is our music disc. And all I have to do is get out of here alive, but unfortunately, the Nether always has other plans. And now as we come back, there's even more ghast just surrounding the area. They spawned a lot more, but I lost a few more items into the flames. Taking some damage, no armor, just trying to do a grab and run of my stuff. And it's time to get out of here. So this is why I will not be doing a deep delve into unloaded chunks of the Nether to look for my dried ghast. I am just going to take advantage of the fact that there is a crafting recipe for them and get it that way. And of course, the reason I say it's a bit embarrassing that I took so long and that just drop happened is several times earlier in this video I've already mentioned it would be easier if I had one. Now that we have our music disc and all of our gear back and we're safely in the overworld, let us get a dried ghast, probably about the only way that I will survive. So we need some tears and 1 soul sand. 1 second, while I take care of our little house guest over here. Why are you not in the water? Pretty sure there's some extra soul sand in here somewhere. That's soul soil. Haven't really needed that soul sand there in a while, but it's just weird. There it is, soul sand. Wait, don't these guys snowballs too? There we go, let's let this little guy hydrate for a little bit. And let's check out what this new music disc sounds like. Alright, back to work. Oh, bass drops on this, yeah. Well, I guess it's a good thing that as a child I yearned for the mines, because it took about 3 more trips to the mines to collect the materials I needed to finish off our bridge. But finished we have done, and it is complete. Look at it down there in all its glory. 2 massive towers, complete with redstone animation to animate the massive machine necessary to complete this bridge, and yet be able to retract it so that our ships can pass through. And does this count as Buildstone? As we have all of our moving pieces, the sliding gears, the moving wheels, everything drawing it out, allowing us to cross. And we can see it retreating and look at it work as it's retreating, pulling everything back, drawing everything in to its rested state. Overall, I think we did a good job in capturing that animated Buildstone community design and style. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. But at least now we fortunately have gotten a completed bridge, so my daughter can finally move her mobs easily from one side of the river to the other.
Hi, Dad.
Well, ultimately that's all on me. She asked for a bridge months ago, and I could have done something simple, but I wanted something big and grand that really popped out, and the whole Buildstone community movement I really was enamored with, and wanted something that could really blend with that kind of feel of motion and life is always something I wanted, and now I got a taste of how much more life you can really give a Minecraft build. So in the end, we are where we are at, and I do love how it all came out, even if the utility of it may not be as big of an impact as it would have been months ago. But, you know, updates happen, and new things are coming at us all the time. What do you think of our bridge overall? Leave your comments down below. And as always, I hope to see you again in our next episode. Hopefully it will be a little bit sooner with a not quite so big project and not interfered with scout camps and family vacations and all the other things that come with summer. So until the next time, have a good one, everybody. Bye.